Today, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we are witnessing the death of reason. And bad news, some of its blood is on our hands. There's a proposed bill in California right now that would allow children 12 and older to get the blah blah, to get the vaccine without their parents' consent. Now, like me, your first response to this is probably to roll your eyes and say, of course that's what's going on in California. Why wouldn't they do that? And you're right. If ever there was a shining beacon on a hill of how to destroy the very foundation upon which democracy at large and our republic in particular was built, it is the great state of California. Honestly, I don't even think we have to wait for the big one to shake them off the map. The handbasket they're going to hell in ought to get them there shortly enough. So let's start by pointing out the obvious and working our way to the not so obvious. This notion, folks, is some grade A, high-octane, high-calorie, low-fiber bullshit. The business of supplying incrementally increased agency to our children has never been the mandate of the state. It is the God-given duty of parents from the time they bring a child into the world until the time they set that child free upon it to make decisions for their kids. You know it, I know it, we all know it. It's common sense. And what's really terrifying is that these legislative nincompoops now, they know it too. And as always, forever and ever, amen, we must bear in mind that by and large, they don't care about your kids. They don't care about your kids. They care about gaining control through subverting the dominant paradigm. Now, if someone ever invents a drinking game for this show, people are going to end up in the hospital when I say subverting the dominant paradigm, but it's true. So here's the maybe not so obvious part. When Orwell was writing about the Soviet Union in the guise of his futuristic dystopian society in the book 1984, he made a powerful statement that was in real life an observation. It was in the government's interest to make sure that parents cared about their children, but that children did not care about their parents. That those children, they would in fact denounce their parents in a moment and condemn them to certain death if called upon to do so by the state. Like wolves, those who seek power for themselves will cull the younglings from the rest of the herd of sheep. There really is nothing new under the old sun of ours. This is precisely what you're seeing with things like this proposed bill in California. It's evil, it's insidious, it's dangerous, it preys upon minds that aren't even fully formed yet. We've made this argument time and again with everything from abortion to transgender surgeries, hormone treatments. It's the same it's the same bad time on the same bad channel. So why, you might ask, is there blood on our hands? Well, in a word, it's apathy. I don't mean that you and I don't care about this. We're sitting here talking about it, so clearly we do. But what are we going to do about it? I've been telling you for a long time now, you got to get your kids out of public schools. That's one thing. It's not just because they're in a place where for 8 hours a day you have no control over what they do or what happens to them, although that's huge too. It's also because they're in a place where they are actively being brainwashed to think and do things that are not in their best interest, or that of society. As a matter of fact, this has to stop. By not addressing this every day in our lives and working to root it out of our system at every possible turn, we're slouching our way to a kind of intellectual and even spiritual Armageddon. If California wants to destroy themselves, that's one thing. But the problem is what Dan Carlin once called an intellectual contagion. It's here, it's viral, it's spreading. You want to inoculate yourself and your kids, do it from that. Folks, I said this to you last week on the show. You remember in October, you don't remember it, but you remember I said October 1917, when the Bolsheviks took over Russia, their immediate response was to start removing children from the families and put them in orphanages that dotted the landscape of the Russian the Russian countryside. And their whole agenda was to create good communists. And when those children came out of those orphanages, let me tell you something, they had no problem working for the KGB as interrogators, as mercenaries, as executioners, and just agents of the state. Real good tattletales for the family. So it's happening in California, folks, and you can call it what you want. Say, well, it's for the good of the health of society and in general, as a whole. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's indoctrination, and you're going to suffer from it. I promise you. George Orwell didn't know he was writing such a prophetic book, but in fact, he understood human nature, and now it's coming back around. It happened in Lenin and Stalinist Russia. It's happening again in Western civilization throughout what we used to call the free world. It's not free anymore, folks. It's not free.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.